performance. Soleil Residence Theater.
Yeah, it's red.
This is our 5th year performing, and it's been a tremendous time for us. And so I want to just thank all of you. One of the questions I always like to ask is, how many of you, who of you, first time to attend one of our performances?
See the red dot up there?
Well, hey, over half. All right? Just a few things to know. First of all, everyone, please make sure your phone is in airplane mode or turned off so that we don't have that interference while it's going on the show. Secondly, for those of you that are new here, this is a performance by your fellow residents. It's live theater. Almost anything can happen. So accept it. We have found that alcohol always makes the shows better. So we're serving free wine, so please help yourself. Speaking of the wine, I really want to thank Brenda Laird. Brenda Laird is the one that donated the wine tonight. We truly do appreciate that. When you walked in, you probably noticed that there is a donation box there, and the reason for that is we have to pay for the scripts that we use, we have to pay royalties for the performances that we put on, and so that's how we fund that, plus occasional props, costumes, whatever. So we really appreciate that, and anything you donate, we greatly appreciate it, so thank you very much. I really don't have anything much else to say other than that this performance, the Spoon River Anthology, will be on again next week, 5 o'clock, same time, same channel. And then November 14th, we will be doing a radio play of It's a Wonderful Life. And so that'll be the last performance for 2021. So we hope that you can make it. Thank you tonight for coming for sure on such a beautiful day. There's a lot of alternative things you can be doing. We really appreciate the fact that you're here. The last thing is when the performance is over, we ask that if you would please help us by taking your chairs to the side of the ballrooms and stacking them up. Otherwise, we're here a lot longer just manhandling all these chairs. So we would really appreciate it if you could do that. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the performance.
SpoonRiver1 is a book penned by the American poet Edward D. Masters and originally published in 1915. Masters created a series of compelling free verse monologues of a time gone by. The book was a literary sensation and a huge commercial success. However, back in his hometown of Lewiston, Illinois, the community was not too enthusiastic. On the contrary, they were furious. Because of this, the book was immediately banned from schools and libraries in the area, including the Lewistown Library, where Master's mother worked as the librarian. Even though most names were fictitious, everyone in town knew exactly who was writing about. Emma Parks became Emily Sparks, and Sid Cumber became Seth Compton. In this groundbreaking work, Masters, a one-time law partner of Clarence Darrow, gives voice to the deceased citizens of Spoon River who are laid to rest in the Oak Hill Cemetery, known to the locals as the Hill. Spoon River is a mythological Midwestern town. Its former citizens from all walks of life speak touchingly from the grave. They are alternatively plaintive, anguished, angry, and sometimes even funny. The characters speak of disappointment and despair, but also of hope and love. These themes still resonate with us today. We now invite you to sit back, relax, and travel back in time with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you SpoonRiver Anthology.
Where is old Fiddler Jones, who played with life all his 90 years, breaking the sleep with bared breast, drinking, rioting, thinking neither of wife nor kin, nor love, nor gold, nor heaven? He is sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
Where is Elmer, Herman, Bert, Tom, and Charlie? The weak of will, the strong of arm, the clown, the boozer, the fighter. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
One passed in a fever. One was burned in a mine. One was killed in a brawl. One died in jail. And one fell from a bridge, toiling for children and wife. But all are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
Where's Ella, Kate, Mag, Edith, Lizzie, the tender of heart, the simple soul, the loud, the proud, the happy one? All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill. One died in shameful childbirth, one of a thwarted love, one at the hands of a brute in a brothel, one of a broken pride in search of heart's desire, one after life in faraway London and Paris was brought to her little resting place by Ella, Kate, and Mac. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
Where is Uncle Isaac and Aunt Debbie, and Old Town Kincaid and Severn Lawton, and Major Walker, who had talked with the venerable men of the Resolution? All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
And they brought them dead sons from the war, and daughters whom life had crushed, and children, fatherless, crying. They're all sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill.
George Gray.
I have studied many times the marble which was chiseled for me, a boat with a furled sail at rest in a harbor. In truth, it pictures not my destination, but my miserable life. For love was offered me, and I shrank from its disillusionment. Sorrow knocked at my door, but I was afraid. Ambition called to me, but I dreaded the chances. Yet, all the while I hungered for the meaning in my life. And now, I know that we must lift the sail and catch the wind of destiny wherever they drive that boat. To put meaning in one's life may end in madness, but life without meaning is a torture of restlessness and vague desire. It's a boat longing for the sea, and yet afraid.
High putt.
Oh, here I lie by the grave of old Bill Pearsall, who grew rich trading with the Indians, and who afterwards took the bankrupt law and emerged from it richer than ever. Myself grown tired of toil and poverty and beholding how old Bill and others grew in wealth, robbed a traveler one night near Proctor's Grove, killing him unwittingly while doing so for which I was tried and hanged. Well, that was my way of going into bankruptcy. And now we who took the bankrupt law in our respective ways are sleeping peacefully side by side.
Margaret Fuller Slack.
I would have been as great as George Eliot, but for an untold fate. For look at the photograph of me by Pennywit, chin resting on hand and deep-set eyes, gray and far-fetching too. But there was an old problem. Should it be celibacy, matrimony, or unchastity? Then John Slack, the rich druggist, wooed me, luring me with the promise of leisure for my novel, and I married him, giving birth to 8 children. And I had no time to write. It was all over with me anyway when I ran the needle through my hand while washing the baby's things and died from lockjaw, an ironical death. Hear me, ambitious souls, sex is the curse of life.
Mabel Osborne.
Your red blossoms and green leaves are drooping, beautiful geranium. You need water. But you do not ask for water. You cannot speak. You do not need to speak because everyone knows you're thirsty. You're dying of thirst. Yet, they do not bring water. They pass on by saying, the geranium needs water. And I, who had happiness to share and long to share in your happiness, I who loved you, SpoonRiver, and craved your love, just withered before your eyes, SpoonRiver, thirsty, thirsty, from voiceless, from chasteness of soul to ask you for love. You who knew me and saw me perish before you, like this geranium that someone has planted over me and left to die.
Milt Bolheimer.
I was the first fruits of the battle of Missionary Ridge. When I felt the bullet enter my heart, I wished I had stayed home and gone to jail for stealing from hogs instead of running away and joining the army. Rather 1,000 times the county jail than to lie under this marble figure with wings and this granite pedestal with the words pro patria. What do they mean anyway?
Lydia Puckett.
Nolt Holheimer ran away to the war the day before Colonel Trenery took out a search warrant through Justice Arnett for stealing hogs. But that's not the reason he turned a soldier. He caught me running with Lucius Back of every man is a woman.
Louise Smith.
Herbert broke our engagement of 8 years when Annabelle returned to the village from the seminary. Ah, me. If I had let my love for him alone, it might have grown into a beautiful sorrow. Who knows? Filling my life with healing fragrance. But I tortured it. I poisoned it. I blinded its eyes and it became hatred. A deadly ivy instead of clematis. And my soul fell from its support as tendrils tangled in decay. Do not let the will play gardener to your soul unless you are sure it is wiser than your soul's nature.
Hair drummer.
Do the boys and girls still go to Seavers for cider after school in late September? Or gather hazelnuts among the thickets on Aaron Hatfield's farm when the frost began? For morning times with the laughing girls and boys, I played along the road and over the hills. When the sun was low and the air was cool, stopping only to club the walnut tree that stood leafless against the flaming west. Now, the smell of the autumn smoke, the sound of the dropping acorns, and the echoes about the vale bring dreams of life. They hover over me. They question me. Where are those laughing comrades? How many are with me? How many are in the old orchards on the way to Seavers and in the woods that overlook the quiet water?
Felix Schmidt.
It's only a little house of 2 rooms, almost like a child's playhouse, with a scarce 5 acres of ground around it. And oh, I had so many children to feed, and school, and clothe, and a wife who was sick from bearing children. Well, one day, Lawyer Whitney came along and proved to me that Christian Dolman, who owned 3,000 acres of land, had bought the 80 acres that adjoined me in 1871 for $11 at a sale for taxes, while my father lay in his mortal illness. Well, so a quarrel arose, and I went to the law. But when it came to proof, a survey of the land showed clear as day that Dolman's tax deed covered me ground and me little house of 2 rooms. It served me right for stirring out. I lost my case, and I lost my place. And I left the courtroom and went to work as Christian Dolman's tenant.
Hannah Armstrong.
I wrote him a letter asking for old time's sake to discharge my sick boy from the army, but maybe he couldn't read it. Then I went to town and had James Garber, who wrote beautifully, write him a letter. But maybe that got lost in the mails. So I traveled all the way to Washington. I was more than an hour finding the White House. And when I found it, they turned me away, hiding their smiles. And I thought, oh well, he ain't the same since I boarded him, and he and my husband worked together, and all of us called him Abe there in Menard. As a last attempt, I turned to the guard and said, please say it's old Aunt Hannah Armstrong from Illinois. Come to see him about her sick boy in the army. Well, just in a moment, they let me in. And when he saw me, he broke into a laugh and dropped his business as president and wrote in his own hand about Doug's discharge, talking all the while of the early days and telling stories.
Hortense Robbins.
My name used to be in the papers daily for having dined somewhere or traveled somewhere or rented a house in Paris where I entertained the nobility. Oh, I was forever eating or traveling or taking the cure at Baden-Baden. Now I'm here to do honor to Spoon River, here beside the family from whence I came. No one cares now where I dined, or lived, or whom I entertained, or how often I took the cure at Baden-Baden.
Ida Fricky.
Nothing in life is alien to you. I was a penniless girl from Sunham who stepped from the morning train in Spoon River. All the houses stood before me with closed doors and drawn shades. I was barred out. I had no place or part in any of them. And I walked past the old McNeely mansion. Oh, a castle of stone, mid walks and gardens, with workmen all about the place on guard, and the county and state upholding it for its lordly owner, full of pride. I was so hungry, I had a vision. I saw a giant pair of scissors dip from the sky and cut the house in two like a curtain. But at the commercial, I saw a man who winked at me as I asked for work. It was Washington Neely's son, who proved to be the link in the chain of title to half my ownership in the mansion. So, you see, from the day I was born, it was simply waiting for me.
Chase Henry.
In life, I was the town drunkard. And when I died, the priest denied me burial in holy ground. The which redounded to my good fortune, for the Protestants bought this lot and buried my body here, close to the grave of the banker Nicholas and his wife Priscilla. Take note, ye pious and prudent souls, of the cross currents in life which bring honor to the dead who lived in shame.
Judge Summers.
How does it happen? Tell me that I, who was the most erudite of lawyers, who knew Blackstone and Coke almost by heart, and who made the greatest speech the courthouse ever heard, and wrote a brief that won the praise of Justice Breeze. How does it happen? Tell me that I lie here, unmarked, forgotten, while Chase Henry, the town drunkard, has a marble block topped with an urn, where in nature, in a mood ironical, has sown a flowering weed.
Amos Sidley.
Not character, not fortitude, not patience were mine, to which the village thought I had in marrying with my wife. Well, preaching on and doing the work God chose for me. I loathed her as a harsh-tempered and overbearing woman. I knew of her adulteries, every single one of them. But even so, if I divorced a woman, I must forsake the ministry. Therefore, to do God's work and have satisfaction in my work, I put up with her. So, I lied to myself, I lied to SpoonRiver. Yet I tried lecturing. I ran for the legislature, and I canvassed for books, with only one thought in mind. If I make money thus, I will divorce her.
Julia Miller.
We quarreled that morning. He was 65 and I was 30. And I was nervous and headed with the child whose birth I dreaded. I thought over the last letter written to me by that young soul whose betrayal of me I concealed by marrying the old man. Then I took the morphine and sat down to read. Across the blackness that came across my eyes, I see the flickering light of these words even now. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, this day thou shalt be with me in paradise.
Dora Williams.
When Reuben Pantier ran away and threw me, I went to Springfield. There I met a lush whose father just deceased and left him a fortune. He married me when he was drunk, and my life was wretched. A year passed one day, and I found him dead. That made me rich. I moved on to Chicago. After a time, I met Tyler Roundtree, Bill. I moved on to New York. A gray-haired magnate went mad about me, so another fortune. He died one night right in my arms, you know. I saw his purple face for years thereafter. It was almost a skin. I was gone. This time to Paris. I was now a woman insidious, subtle, versed in the world, and rich. My sweet apartment near the Champs-Élysées became a center for all sorts of people, musicians, and poets, and dandies, and artists, and nobles, for we spoke French and German, Italian, and English. I wed Count Navigado, native of Genoa. We went to Rome. He poisoned me, I think. Now in the Campo Santo, overlooking the sea where young Columbus dreamed of new worlds, see what they chiseled. Countess Navigado, implora eterna quiete.
Mrs. Williams.
I was the milliner, talked about, lied about, mother of Dora, whose strange disappearance was charged to her rearer. My eye was quick to beauty, so much besides the ribbons and buckles and feathers and leghorns and felts that set off sweet faces and dark hair and gold. One thing I will tell you, and one thing I will ask. The stealers of husbands wear powder and trinkets and fashionable hats. Wives, wear them yourselves. Hats may make divorces. They also would prevent them. Well, now, let me ask you, if all of the children born here in SpoonRiver had been reared by the county, somewhere on a farm, and the fathers and mothers had been given their freedom to live and enjoy, change mates if they wished. Do you think that Spoon River would be any worse?
Roscoe Porterpile.
She loved me. Oh, how she loved me. I never had a chance to escape from the first day she saw me. And then after we were married, I thought she might prove her mortality and let me out. Or she might divorce me. But few die and none resign. Then I ran away and was gone a year on a lark. But she never complained. She said all would be well, that I would return. And I did return. I told her that while taking a row in a boat, I had been captured near Van Buren Street by pirates on Lake Michigan. And kept in chains, so I couldn't write her. She cried and kissed me and said it was cruel, outrageous, inhuman. I then concluded our marriage was a divine dispensation and could not be dissolved, except by death. I was right.
Mrs. Kirkapile.
He ran away and was gone for a year. When he came home, he told me the silly story of being kidnapped by pirates on Lake Michigan and held in chains so he couldn't write. I pretended to believe it, but I knew very well what was going on. I knew he meant the milliner, Mrs. Williams. Now and then, when she would go into the city to buy goods, as she said. But a promise is a promise, and a marriage is a marriage. And out of respect for my own character, I refuse to be drawn into a divorce by the scheme of a husband who has merely grown tired of his marital vow and duty.
Deacon Taylor.
I belong to the church and the party of the prohibition, and the villagers thought I died from eating watermelon. In truth, I had cirrhosis of the liver. For every noon for 30 years, I slipped behind the prescription partition at Trader's drugstore and poured a generous drink from the bottle marked Spiritus Frumentine.
Russian Sonia.
I, born in Weimar of a mother who was French and a German father, a most